We did this yesterday, and for some reason it didn't record.
Oh,
Oh,
oops.
Yeah.
that's okay.
So anyway, I've got a ticket in at Zoom to see if they can recover the recording. I
Okay.
I, I mentioned this to Chris last night, but I'm kind of hoping they can recover it. So I don't know why it stopped. Anyway,
Okay.
all right. So what we're going to talk about today are the vital functions of mindset. Okay.
Hmm.
So let me just pull this up so I'm starting in the right place.
Alrighty.
Okay. So the first, when you're talking about mindset, there's a lot of components. We talked about one yesterday called resilience, and that's I'm going to say almost half of it. Okay. Because you've got to be resilient. You've got to be able to bounce back when you're talking to somebody and you're in sales and you're talking, making these phone calls. And like I said, you're going to get people who are just absolutely having the worst day of their life. And that's when you call them and they take it out on you.
Right.
It's like when my wife gets the third telemarketer on the same day for the same product, the last phone call that she gets from that same from that third guy. Oh man, I wouldn't want to be him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So resilience is key, and that's why I started with it. But I want to talk about the vital functions here. Okay. Vital functions are they're the other half. So basically it's this. The first vital function is you have to be likable. When you're hiring salespeople, ask questions that you find out how likable they are. It's one of the most important distinguishing qualities or descriptions of top salespeople is that they're nice people. Now, I'm not fond of the word nice because that's a try. David, tell me the definition of nice.
Very, very broad and
Boy,
subjective.
is it ever? But the point is, they're likable. They're they're caring people. Good salespeople, good salespeople care about serving their customers more than they care about making the sale. If they care more about their customer and doing the right thing, the sale will follow,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to show you that developing a reputation for being a likable person is something that you can learn. Okay. The second function is health, good physical health. And David, I think you made a comment the other day about you go to the gym, right?
Yes.
Okay. Don't you feel that you've got more vitality when you leave the gym? You might be tired, you might be physically drained because you've exercised so hard, but doesn't it give you more vitality?
More focused. Yeah, I tend to work out in the mornings. So to me, it gives me the focus for the day. It's like the
Yep.
first thing I do in the morning. So
Yep.
just
So
better.
when you're looking for people to work with you, find out if they go to the gym. They've got vitality.
Mm.
Are they a couch potato? Yeah, then they'll probably be a couch potato at work too, right? Because a habit in their private life will carry into a habit on their work life.
Mm.
So vital function number two is find out if they got vitality. They're healthy on they're healthy on the inside as well, healthy mentally. Uh, I know a lot of salespeople. I mean, I know there are an awful lot of them who are overweight. I am, but I'm pretty sure you're going to say that yes, Bruce, you have vitality,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Mm.
I mean, good vitality means that they've got high energy. They're positive. The guys I know one lady who was trying to. There were two dogs fighting. Okay, she tried to separate the dogs, and one of them literally bit her nose off. She has a prosthetic nose, and it's fairly obvious when you look at her, it's not a real nose. Okay, it's not one of those things you go, I wonder if that's real. It's very obvious. but it doesn't stop her from standing tall. It doesn't stop her for dressing for success. And she is a star every single day that she goes out there. Okay. She has got vitality beyond measure. All right. Third vital function is complete product knowledge. As a matter of fact, product knowledge is one of the core skills of selling. It's knowing your product cold. And you've got several products, right? Like
Yeah.
Yes.
you've got the media, you've got Expo, you've got the advertising. You got to know every single part of it, and you got to be able to teach every single part of it to the people that you bring on board. Okay. But the difference between an average salesperson and a great salesperson is that they know the competition's product knowledge, know what you're up against. How can you tell a potential customer that you've got a really good program when you don't know what the competition's got? Right? You can't say, well, our product is different and better in this way. You can't say that our product will help that part of what you need. Our competition does this, we do this. Which one's better for you? Obviously ours. But you can't do that comparison if you don't know what other people are doing. Okay. The fourth function, and what we're going to talk about on Monday, is prospecting. Now, just to give me a snippet right now, an idea of what to talk about on Monday, how are you getting your potential customers? How are you drawing your leads?
Oh, you're asking.
Yeah.
Through normally LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Yeah,
Email
normally.
marketing campaigns as well.
Are you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Cold calling, of course.
But you've got to, before you can cold call, you've got to prospect to get the names.
Yes, we have.
Right.
Okay. And you're doing it through social media and you're doing it through a LinkedIn Navigator.
Right.
Yes.
Have you started calling them yet?
No.
Okay. All right. You will probably find that you're going to get better results, or at least faster results, out of your social media ads.
Yes.
Okay, because those people have already expressed an interest through Navigator. You're just getting you're getting cold leads. At least through social media, they're responding, so they're kind of a tepid, warm lead.
Yeah. In addition to warm leads who come through to the platform and end up requesting information on their own, which is a
Does that
benefit as
happen?
well.
Does that happen very often?
Because, well, in line, once we consistently do marketing and email campaigns, then yes. But,
Okay. All right. All right. So that truly is the fourth vital function in all the things that you're going to do. Right. It's one of the greatest weaknesses in selling, because what happens is people tend to get a whole bunch of names and they stop. I've got lots of names to start calling now. But the problem is you get to the end of those names, then you got to start fresh all over again. Don't ever stop prospecting. Okay. If someone answers on your social media, then those are tepid, what I call tepid warm. There's very rarely you're going to get a hot lead. Okay. But when somebody responds to you, call them first, because they're warmer than the Navigator, LinkedIn Navigator ones. Okay. But never, ever, ever stop prospecting. You are in business only as long as you have people to call on. Okay, let me repeat that because it bears repeating. You are only in business as long as you have people to call on. All right. So you can, it's one of those weaknesses, man, that if you don't keep doing it, it's like having, look, Dave, in your case, going to the gym, let's say that your pecs are weak or your abs are weak. If you don't work on them, they disappear. Right. So you can excel at everything else. But if you if you stop approaching people if it, and mentally, if you're not prepared to approach people, your business stops. Right? If we're talking about the mentality of it, the truth of the matter is when a sales rep is in a slump, it's because he's having trouble approaching people. He's in that mental slump. That's why they call it a mental slump,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? So prospecting is something that has to be kept doing. When your salespeople have a pile of names to call, they feel really, really good. But when they see that pile diminishing and they start getting desperate, oh, I've only got this. I got to get the most out of these because I'm running out of names to call.
Mhm.
Right.
And that desperation comes through in that phone call, right? You can't, if you're guys, if you're feeling desperate, you can't help but keep it out of your voice. You might think it's not there, but they'll hear it. Okay. So one of the vital functions is tons and tons and tons of names to call gives you that comfort. This many names to call, you start to worry that you're not going to get the business that you need.
Mhm.
Okay. So mentally, just lots and lots of names to call. Okay. Don't tell your sales rep not to count on you for their leads. Because here's what's happening to them mentally. They see, oh God, you know what? I'm going to get all the leads I need. And then leads are cyclical, especially if you're using LinkedIn Navigator. You're going to find that some months you got lots of leads and some months you got less leads. If they're running low on leads, like I said, they've got that fear that, oh, they're starting to get desperate. Teach your salespeople how to find their own leads. Because if they run out of leads, they're going to sit on their hands. And if they're sitting on their hands for any length of time, they start to worry that they're not making money because your salespeople are going to get commissions, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So if they've been making really good commissions, then people will live up to the expense of their commissions, right? If they got a bunch of months where they're doing really good and they think it's going to last forever, they go out and buy that boat and they have payments, they buy a bigger car, they got bigger payments. And all of a sudden they have a bad month or two because the leads aren't coming in. And now it's your fault.
Mm.
They don't look at it as their fault. They look at it as, well, why am I not getting these leads anymore? So make sure that they have the mentality of knowing that they also have to dig up their own leads. Okay. Give them a quota of leads that they have to provide every week. Get them in the habit of developing their own leads. When I worked for that multinational, they were feeding their sales reps leads. And every time, if there was a sales rep in St. Louis and his leads dried up, it's human nature. They sit in their hands and they wait for the leads to come in. And eventually they starve to death and they leave the company. And you don't want a turnover, right? So what you're doing by helping them keep the mentality of prospecting for themselves as well as getting leads, but prospecting for themselves, then your turnover is going to go down. Okay. You've got mentally strong people who have learned to fend for themselves. And it goes back to children, guys. Some kids, they come home from school, and mom's there, they give them their afternoon snack, they play their games. And some kids are, you've heard of key latch kids, right? They come home, they're alone, they have to get their own snacks. Those kids become more responsible adults than the ones that are spoon fed when they come home from school. And it's the same thing with your sales reps. If you spoon feed them all of their business, they mentally become weak in the area of prospecting.
Mm.
Okay. Now, not only that, there are some salespeople, because you're giving them leads and they're looking at it, the numbers that other salespeople do, And they're going to wonder, why is that guy selling more than me? Are the leads he's getting better than the leads I'm getting? Am I getting the shit leads and he's getting the good leads? Is my boss playing favorites? And that's a negativity. It's a mental negativity that just, it's a mushroom and it just grows and grows. Okay. And you don't want anybody thinking you're playing favorites,
Right.
right? So teach them how to prospect for themselves. And I'll tell you something else. Once they learn how to do it, they're going to have better leads. The quality of the leads that they dig up will be better than the ones that you supply them. Strangely enough, it's very true. Okay. So teach them how to take the bull by the horns. Give them that mental strength that they take the bull by the horns and start getting their own leads. Okay.
Mhm.
And on top of that, let's face it, if it comes down to a recession and things slow down, and you as a company have to lay off a couple of people because the business just isn't there. Are you going to lay off the ones that you're spoon feeding, or are you going to lay off the ones that know how to do it for themselves?
Most
Okay.
self-reliant.
So when you make them get their own leads, you're actually doing them a favor. Okay. All right. The fifth vital function of sales mentality, rather, are the actual qualifying, presenting, and handling objection skills. Okay. Salespeople hate sales meetings as a rule. Okay. Unless you can make them fun and very entertaining. But every week you have to have a sales meeting where you role play one of those qualifying, presenting, or handling objections. Okay. Teach them how to do their own cold calls. You'd be surprised at how many will hate doing the phone calls. I mean, they really do. They'd rather just go do the presentation. That's the creative part of being in sales. Most salespeople are creative people. But again, by teaching them how to do their own cold calls on their own leads, you are making them more responsible, mentally stronger, more reliable as a salesperson, and of more value to you as a company. So once again, I ask you the same question. If there's a recession and you have to lay some people off, who are you going to keep? The ones who are willing not just to do their own prospecting, but the guys who are also willing to do their own phone calls. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. The sixth vital function is closing skills. Okay. Guys, I have been with salespeople, and I've watched some truly god awful presentations,
Hmm.
and yet they could close the deal. They were closers. Okay. I have seen presentations that just, I sit there and watch the sales rep do this presentation, and I'm in awe how good and smooth and beautiful his presentation is, but he can't make the sale because he doesn't know how to close, or he's just scared to ask for the sale. Okay. I mean, I've seen people sitting there going, yeah, that sounds good, and then not get the sale because he's just afraid to ask. And that fear of rejection that we talked about steps in. He's afraid to ask for the sale. Okay. So there again, you got to have more training sessions, weekly sales, and every week you're going to pick on a different subject. And then you're going to start all over again. The first week might just be on their attitude. The second week is on their prospecting. The third week is on their phone calls. The fourth week is on this. The fifth week is on that. And then you start all over again. Because salespeople are inherently lazy. We will take the easy way out if there's an easy way. And the problem with the easy way out is it cuts out some of the value of what you're trying to present. So role play it. Make sure that every time they open their mouth, they're using powerful words. Quinn, I'm going to throw something at you, and I want you to say the word probably, okay? Quinn, this program that I'm showing you, to me, it's obvious, but would you find this program that I'm showing you to be of benefit to your business?
Probably.
David, did she say yes or no?
She was somewhere in, well, yes, but not
No.
really.
Yes, and it wasn't a no, it wasn't a yes. I
Mhm.
don't know where you stand. Probably doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
That was a very evasive answer to a question, right? So teach your sales reps powerful words, and probably is not one of them. Okay, when you're role playing with this, teach them that they mentally have to get rid of words like probably. They have to get rid of words like nice, because those words don't mean anything. So let's do this one more time, Quinn, and say probably, okay?
Hmm.
Quinn, would you agree that the program so far that I've shown you, I mean, so far, this is good for your business, right?
Probably.
Well, Quinn, probably is one of those funny words. It doesn't mean yes and it doesn't mean no. So let me ask you this, Quinn. This program that I'm showing you, are you leaning toward a yes or leaning toward a no?
Yes.
See, now I know where I stand, don't I?
Yeah.
Because I had the mental resilience of not shrinking back and going, oh, probably I don't know what it means, but I'll carry on. I was asking, remember I said yesterday, ask for things.
Hmm.
I was asking for your response, a true response, not an evasive response. I'm asking for a true response. I didn't shrink away from that fear of rejection. I even stood up. I stood tall, and I said, well, that doesn't mean yes and it doesn't mean no. Quinn, where are you leaning toward? At least I know
Hmm.
the direction to go in.
Right.
David, makes sense?
Perfect. Yes.
Cool. You can see how these vital functions tie in with mental strength, resilience.
Right.
Okay. All right. So handling objections, handling closing skills, those come from mental strength. When somebody throws an objection at you, some I mean, sales reps who do not have the mental strength go shrink back and go, oh my God, I wish the hell you hadn't asked me that. And when they answer through fear, and your prospective customer can hear that fear. Right? I mean, sometimes if you asked a sales rep something and they answered and wonder, okay, was that the truth? Like,
Mm.
he didn't seem very convinced about his own answer.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it doesn't make you feel good about the product that you're trying to buy, does it?
No.
No.
No. And if I go to the lumber yard and I need to cut some hardwood, which is a hell of a lot different than sawing through softwood like pine. I'm going to be cutting a solid wood red oak door. Mr. Salesperson, will that 18-volt handsaw or 18-volt battery saw cut that red oak? Probably. Well, hell, do I want to spend $150 on a probably? I get it home and I burn the engine out. Whose fault is it? Mine? Because he's going to say, well, you burned it out. What do you do? It's not covered by the warranty for that. So don't accept weak words. Don't use weak words. Okay. So price is always going to be an objection. Okay. And we're going to talk about closing skills in another session altogether. But you got to know that price is going to be an objection when you go out to buy something. Quinn, when you pull a dress off the display and you kind of like it, and you put your hand down the sleeve, you turn it over to see the price, and you go, "Geez, $160." No, right?
Right.
So price in that case to you was an objection.
Mhm.
So if the sales rep was standing there beside you, okay, now picture this: you're in a clothing store. The sales rep showing you different dresses. She's holding one up, she's holding the other one up, and you look at them side by side. And you go, okay, well, they're both kind of nice. And you run your hand down the sleeve of one, it's 160. You run your hand down the sleeve of the other, and it's 105. And they're both kind of nice. You're going to throw one out and kind of keep this one in the back of your mind, right?
Right.
But if the clerk says to you, you know what, that the one that you've kept, that $105 one, I know that price is is your objection, but we've got a sale coming up that starts after the weekend. If I can give you that dress, that $105 dress right now for the price of the sale, and that way you don't have to come back. If I give it to you for the price of the sale, it's going to be $85. Would you take it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you're going to find a lot of times, guys, is once you get that customer, price is not the object every time. But the first time you get them, price is an objection that they will use. And you have to be prepared. Okay. So if you are talking to somebody that you know that this is the type of guy price is going to be, and you will learn the types of people that price is the problem. Okay. Be prepared. Maybe inflate your price just a bit,
Yeah.
knowing that you're going to have to come down. Okay. But you got to be mentally prepared for that. Okay. You have to be mentally strong enough to say, well, that's the price, Bob. That's the price. Okay, Bob, tell you what, if I give it to you for a deal, because some people don't want to do anything without a deal. Okay. You've got to be mentally prepared for that. Okay. All right. Time management. Yeah, time management. It's one of the worst skills that salespeople have. It really is. It's one of the worst skills. I used this example the other day. If they got a phone call that really upset them and they hang up the phone, they say, "Oh man, that guy was an SOB. You know what? I'm going to take a 10-minute break from the phone." And all of a sudden it's an hour and a half later because they found other things to do. First off, those other things that they found to do were time wasters. There was filler things to do, right? When they should have been back on the phone. Salespeople have a tendency to burn that clock. And then at the end of the week, especially the guys that are on commission, at the end of the week, when they look back and go, "Oh my God, my commissions this week suck."
Mhm.
Okay. So teach them time management skills. All right. You will lose people, good people, because their time management skills suck. So here's what I want to do. Who has got a calculator there with?
I have my phone.
Okay. Pull it up.
Alrighty.
All right. Now, before we get into this, I want you to picture this. It's the Kentucky Derby. Okay. And the horses are at the gate, and even the horses get nervous before a race, right? They're
Mhm.
they're in the stall, they're ready to go, and they're not standing there calmly. These horses are charged, they're trained to go. And as soon as those doors open, the gates open, then poof, and they're all jockeying for position. And I mean literally jockeying for position. and they go around the track, and everybody in the crowd's getting excited. You can feel the excitement, the hair on their arms are starting to stand. And then two horses sort of break away from the pack, and they're going down the track together. All the other horses are way behind, and these two horses are just going for it. And they get to the end, and it's a photo finish. And now there's all that nervous titter in the crowd. Who got it? And they finally announce, and the winner is Bubblegum by a nose.
Mm.
By a nose, 4 inches. Okay. And the reason I bring it up is this. That horse wasn't 100% better than the second place horse. Second place wins $50,000. First place won 1.1 million for 4 inches. Okay. And what made that one horse better? Because that horse knew when to raise its head, just stick its neck out, because it was trained properly, and it knew when to do it. That horse wasn't 100 times better. It wasn't 50% better. That horse was 4 inches better. Right? So let's relate that to salespeople now. I've talked about 6 vital functions, right? Do you remember what the first one was?
It was,
Be
look.
likable.
yes.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Be likable.
Perfect. All right. So let's say that you can teach your people to be just 10% better at each one of these functions. So I want you to do this. Gwen, you've got the calculator. Put 1 times 1.1.
1 times 1 times 0.1.
No, 1 times 1.1.
Oh, 1 times 1.1
Okay.
is 1.1.
Right. What was the second vital function?
Vitality.
Health.
Vitality. Multiply what you've got by 1.1. So you've got 1 point there, 1.1, multiply times 1.1, because you're going to get 10% better in vitality.
Times 1.1 equals 1.21.
Okay. What was the third one?
Thorough product knowledge as well as your competitors.
Perfect. So take that number that you're at, Quinn, and multiply it times 1.1. You see where I'm starting to go here?
Yeah.
Okay. The fourth one was what?
Prospecting.
Prospecting.
Right. Times 1.1.
1.4.
Okay. And the fifth was what?
Handling objection and rejection.
Yep. Times 1.1.
Mm-hmm. 1.6.
And the sixth one was
Closing skills.
perfect.
Ah.
Times 1.1.
1.7.
Would you agree with me if I said that was 70% better? If you
Yes.
took a salesperson who was just average and you got him 10% better in everything here, just 10%. How much better is he overall now? 70%. So if this guy's selling, let's say $100,000 a year in advertising, which is far too low, but if he was selling, just to use even numbers, if he was selling $100,000 a year and you got him to be 10% better in every one of these categories, what are his sales? 170,000. He's gone from 100,000 to 170, almost double, by being just 10% better in these 6 categories. So if you're teaching your sales reps and they know that you're trying to get them to be just 10% better in all of these categories, what do you think is happening to their mindset?
Growing and growing.
Bingo. Do you think they're getting stronger and stronger? They're just feeling stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
When you go to the gym and you work out, you feel stronger.
Yes.
When you learn your trade and exercise and practice your trade, don't you get better at it? And when you
Absolutely.
get better at it, you feel stronger at it, don't you?
Mhm.
And that's what today's subject was all about. I compared this yesterday to I know David, who is your basketball player that you like so much? Trevin,
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. Compare any athlete to practicing every single day. There's
Mhm.
rare days that a professional athlete does not step on the court or on the ice or whatever his venue is. It's rare.
Mhm.
Then what makes us as salespeople any different? Why should we be any less professional than the athlete that steps on the field or on the court or on the ice?
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
So practice these mental skills because learning objections is a mental skill. Okay. So what books did you find?
Mine is called, let me pull it up. Resilient: How to Grow an Unshakable Core of Calm, Strength, and Happiness.
Cool. Can you do me a favor and email me the title and the author?
Sure. Right
Because
now or after the,
after we finish.
sure.
Okay. David, how about you?
Mine is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Oh, I've read that. That's a good book.
I'm a very good big fan of David Goggins, and I always wanted to read that book, and he actually just put out one recently that I'll probably pick up immediately after I finish that. So big fan of him. So
Cool. Did you receive the one that I sent you?
yes,
I
he
did, yeah.
did.
Did you notice that famous author?
Yeah, he's very famous.
87-year-old man.
Sorry, David, what was that?
An 87-year-old man, apparently.
Yes. Uh, are you familiar with the name Brian Tracy?
I am not, no.
No, I'm
Okay.
not.
Brian Tracy, uh, he's he has passed the pinnacle of his career, but from the late 70s until the 2010s, he was one of North America's most premier motivational speaker. Okay. Uh, and I was very fortunate that he actually read my book and he gave me a forward to put on it. And I don't know if you read the forward, but that forward was basically the reason why people were buying it on Amazon and why it became a #1 bestseller.
Mhm.
But
Nice.
I've had companies now buy um, whose sales managers or company owners who've read the book and then they bought dozens and dozens of them for their employees
Nice.
Wow.
because and I'm not saying it to brag, don't get me wrong, I don't make much money per book, trust me, but the fact that it does and has changed some people's lives, that's the part that makes me feel best, right?
Mhm.
uh, Guys, when you train your people well, when you train them properly, when you give them these skills and help them get that 10% better, uh, things will happen that you don't expect to happen. Okay. Uh, Shit, I'm going to get all emotional here. 2 years ago, I got a phone call out of the blue. Like, I worked with this multinational company, and I left in 1998. Okay. I
Mhm.
worked with them from 92 to 98. Uh, and I know I did. I loved the people. I loved working with the people. And I know I was changing lives. And that made me feel like I mean, I was well paid, but damn, that's the part of it I enjoyed, right? So 2 years ago, I got a phone call a couple days before Christmas, and it was one of the managers that I had worked with out of Chicago, and I hadn't talked to him since 1998. Okay, but he calls me up, and as I'm reaching for the phone, I'm looking at the call display, right, and going, "Who the hell's calling me from Illinois?"
Mhm.
Okay, answer the phone. He talks for a minute. I know that voice, and after a moment, he says his name, and it's like, "Holy crap! How did you find me?" It's been since 1998, and it was
Mm-hmm.
well, it was during COVID. Right?
Mhm.
Um, we had a great conversation. Talked about some of the people that we used to work with, and a lot of laughs. And he said, "Listen, I got to tell you why I'm calling." He went to After he left that company, he went to GM, and he worked in their head office. And GM went through their bankruptcy, right? Well, he worked in the Pontiac division, which they shut down.
Mhm.
He was the only person out of the entire GM division that he worked in that kept his job. They moved him into Chevy. And the only reason he said that they kept me was because of what you taught me.
Wow.
So, yeah, um, we talk a little bit more. And, he said, we're having a big dinner. I've got all my family, my wife's family's all coming. I've got kids now, right? And he said, I was sitting here the other day and we were talking about past jobs, and I realized this is happening now because I didn't get fired. And that was because of you. And I started, oh shit. When you can change people's lives, there's nothing. I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing better. There's nothing better. And this, with what we've talked about in 2 days, if you can get somebody's mindset the right way, if you can train them to be 10% better at all these things, you're going to change lives. Yeah, I got off the phone and I started bawling like a baby. My wife says, "What's wrong? Who died?" So, yeah,
Awesome.
do yourself a favor. Take these things to heart.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Any questions on anything from today or tomorrow? Today or yesterday,
No, no questions. I will send you the book title
please.
and yes.
Hmm. You want me to
And
send you
yeah.
yours? Mine?
I've read yours.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Guggen as well.
I love his life. He's a very inspirational person.
Yeah.
So
If you can, hold on. Where the hell do we put it? Do you guys like psychology in any way? Like,
Yeah, sure.
yes.
try to find a book called Success Cybernetics.
Success
Cybernetics.
Cybernetics by
The initials are U.S., last name Anderson.
all right.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta. I don't know. Hold
I
on.
can't see. Hold on.
Alright.
Yeah. No, it's not going to show up. Okay.
It's not working.
No.
What's the author's name? You said U.S. Anderson?
U.S. Anderson.
Yep. And Anderson is E.N.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. His parents thought it'd be kind of neat if he had the initials USA.
Ah, gotcha.
Right? If you like cybernetics, of course, is the exercise of muscles,
Okay.
but this is about the exercise of brain muscles. And he does it in such a unique way that I read that when I was 16 years old, and it just
Mm-hmm.
motivated the crap out of me.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So if you can find that book, um, Eat the Frog is another one by
Eat
Brian. Yep, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy.
and Tracy.
Actually, any book by Brian Tracy.
Okay.
All right,
I'll definitely look into that. Yeah. Cool.
all right. Okay, guys. So no questions of today or yesterday?
No questions.
No,
Cool. All right, then have yourself a great weekend. Do a little bit of reading. Monday is a holiday here, so we won't be meeting on Monday.
Okay.
Okay. We seem to have a national holiday one day a month every year. So
What is the holiday?
I think it's Civic Day.
I don't know.
No, you guys don't have it, but
No.
up here we seem to like our days off, so we have one a month.
Lucky you.
sounds nice. It sounds nice to
Cool.
me.
It is nice. But I'll tell you, when I was working for the American company, it wasn't because I was still working and everybody else was at the boat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Enjoy your
funny.
weekend, guys, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
You
All right,
too.
you too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. See you later. Bye bye.